Now that 9/11, 2001, the 10th anniversary has just passed a couple days ago, I think it's only fitting that we talk about a war and not the two wars that happened after 9/11, uh, but the war, the biggest war that you or I will probably ever face in our lifetimes, and that is the war on debt. That's right, the war on debt. It is a huge crisis that is affecting people not only in this country, but all over the world. The war on debt, from the World Bank to the IMF to the Federal Reserve. Where do we start? From fractional reserve lending to derivatives to just to depressions, from recessions. What happened? Where did it all start? Let me give you a quick overview, then I'm going to do videos getting much more specific. First of all, one of the main reasons why we broke away from England was because of our high taxes. The taxes were so high because England would rather us pay them than the people, that were in the homeland, because they owed a lot of money to third party banks, or to a third party bank. We broke away. We set up our constitution. The founders warned us, do not allow a third party bank to control your monetary system. That's exactly what we did. Um, and whenever that happens, good things do not come of it, especially in the long run, especially in the end. Basically, Lincoln tried to establish the greenback. He actually did. A lot of people think he was assassinated because he ended or he abolished slavery. That's one of the reasons, but another one is because of the greenback. There wasn't enough money in it, and it made a lot of sense. You should Google or YouTube search the greenback, and you will see how genius this was of him. Anyway, we fast forward to 1900, and um, we have a lot of mini scares in the financial world with banks. We have Mellon and um, Carnegie basically warning people, setting out a scare to people that the smaller banks are not going to protect your money, and basically that led to a run on banks. People pulled their money out of small banks, wanted to put them in the big banks, put their trust in the big banks. The problem is that you had banks, you had a commercial bank and an investment bank, and they were one and the same. There were no walls put up. Basically, if I owned one of these bank holding companies, I could take your deposits, give you a checking account, um, and then I could also loan you money for your business, and then I could also, for that same business, I could sell shares of stock. It was a huge financial conflict of interest. Anyway, um, this basically led to the Great Depression, because when there was another financial scare and the money were in these big banks, the deposits made by the average depositor, the working man, was not there, because the money was taken and put into speculative investing. And it just was not sound. It was not safe. It was very risky, but it wasn't their own money. And when you Google or YouTube what fractional reserve lending is, you'll see they didn't even need, they hardly needed any of the money to deposit or to invest, but they got really greedy and they wanted to make more and more and more. So anyway, after the Great Depression, FDR gets swept into office, basically with a mandate to reform the financial and banking systems, and that's what he attempted to do. He created a bunch of acts. The SEC was created then, uh, which is the Security Exchange Commission, if you don't know that. Glass-Steagall was implemented, the Glass-Steagall Act. Basically, that said that you could be a commercial bank or an investment bank, but you could not be both. You had to pick one, which made a lot of sense to people. obviously, and it kept us safe for a long time. It was strengthened in 1956 by Eisenhower. There were a couple um, bills that were passed that he signed into law that strengthened Glass-Steagall. Anyway, so we fast forward to the mid '80s, and people are chipping away at this. You know, they're passing these acts that are basically uh, giving less and less power to the Glass-Steagall Act. You know, like basically allowing certain companies, certain investment companies, to take over the savings and loan, and there's a few other examples that I'm not too sure of. But anyway, in 1999, Bill Clinton signed an act into law, and it was the Graham Leach Blyland Act. Basically, um, it basically eliminated Glass-Steagall. So now, as you notice, if you go in your bank and you have a lot of money in either your checking or savings, you might hear the teller say to you, you know, would you like to speak to somebody in our financial services department? Morgan Stanley can now open checking accounts, and it's just not right. It's not good for anybody, because what happens is what happened in 2008. They start bundling these derivatives and these these mortgages into investments, and it's good when it's good, but when it's bad, as we found out, and there's too many of them, and we start using subprime lending because people are getting very greedy, and there's no regulation on them. What happens is what happened. We had to bail people out. So basically, it's like me going to the casino with your money. You know, it doesn't matter if I win or lose because it's your money. There's no risk to me. That's what the bailouts basically essentially led to. And so I think the only thing to do is for us to reenact Glass-Steagall. And if not, I mean, the war on debt will be a war that we cannot win. I think, you know, the Federal Reserve should be checked out. You need to Google or YouTube that as well. And, you know, the economic hitman's coming. And you know what they say about history: if you don't learn from it, then you're doomed to repeat it. And I think a lot of people have been blinded by the greed and the opportunity to make a buck. And you know, we need to take care of our depositors. We need to take care of our fellow countrymen. We need to prepare, because things could get really ugly if a situation like 2008 happens again. So look forward to my videos, and I look forward to filming them, and hopefully you get something out of them. If not, I always like to hear myself talk. So thanks for listening.